This is KVUE News Midday.
Good morning to you. I'm Yvonne Nava.
And I'm Anavid Reyes. Thank you for watching KVUE News Midday. Tropical storm Sydney made landfall in southwestern Louisiana near the Texas border this morning.
And this is threatening to bring some strong winds, rain, and potentially dangerous floods to several surrounding southern states. Storm team meteorologist Erica Lopez is tracking the storm. Erica, earlier this morning, that was a landfall. Now let's talk about the path.
All right, let's talk about that and how it's going to impact us here in central Texas. Not much at all whatsoever. Actually, the only impacts we're seeing are some high clouds out there. Live look just outside of the studio. The clouds that we see in our viewing area are associated with now tropical depression Cindy, under that tropical storm threshold. As far as temperatures go, well, at least the clouds are keeping us on the cooler side. 80s across the viewing area, 83 right now at ABIA and 84 at Camp Mabry. So here we are, lots of high-level clouds out there, mainly for central and eastern counties. Maybe a couple of sprinkles could be seen for our eastern counties as those outer western bands of the system could impact us, but they're mainly staying for eastern Texas. So here we are, now a tropical depression, meaning wind speeds, sustained wind speed are under 39 miles an hour. Anything above that makes it a tropical storm, but once this system hit land, it quickly lessened from 45-mile-an-hour wind speeds to 40-mile-an-hour wind speeds, now at 35. Gusts still topping out at 45 miles an hour. But needless to say, lots of rain out there, but what we're seeing here is the heat. Still forecasted highs at 95 degrees. And as far as what we're tracking here, feel like temperatures triple digits. I'm going to send things over to Marcy Gonzalez out in Louisiana to give us an update on the impacts of Cindy out there.
With drenching rain and winds reaching 50 miles an hour, Tropical Storm Cindy slammed into the Gulf Coast this morning, making landfall near the Texas-Louisiana border. But its bands are reaching far beyond, flooding some coastal communities with as much as 10 inches of rain, leaving roads underwater, neighborhoods submerged, forcing some storm-hardy southerners riding out the first tropical system to hit this season to evacuate at the last second.
The water had risen so high it was fixing to get into our truck, and we couldn't just let our truck sit there and flood out, so we got us some of our belongings and we left.
In Mississippi, water spouts formed, then came ashore. Along Florida's panhandle, a reported tornado left all this damage.
Thank God nobody was hurt. Yeah, this is terrible.
States of emergency declared in Louisiana and Alabama, where the storm is blamed for at least one death. A 10-year-old on the beach with his family yesterday, hit by a 200-pound log brought on shore by a giant wave.
The child sustained very severe head injuries, had to be pulled from underneath the timber.
In Galveston, Texas, Beach Patrol rescued tourists after their vehicle was stuck. And officials warned the threat from this storm isn't over, with ongoing concerns about flash flooding. And the threat of tornadoes continues as the storm moves farther inland and weakens. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Well, we'll continue to keep an eye on now tropical depression Cindy throughout the day. And as always, you can keep track of radar with the KVUE app. We're always updating information to keep you informed. Yvonne, back to you.
All right, thank you so much. Well, a magnitude 6.8 earthquake hit off Guatemala's Pacific coast today, shaking much of the country and El Salvador. The spokesman for Guatemala's National Disaster Agency says there does not appear to be any injuries and damages at all.
A suicide car bomb near a bank in Afghanistan leaves at least 29 people dead and dozens wounded. It happened earlier today in Afghanistan's southern Helmand province. Most of the people killed in the attack were civilians. No group immediately claimed responsibility for the bombing.
Well, right now, Austin City Council members are expected to take a final vote on a smoking ordinance change. The council has asked to add e-cigarettes to the list of tobacco products covered by city ordinances. And this means e-cigs would be banned in parks, restaurants, bars, and other public areas. The meeting began about an hour ago.
Earlier this month, Governor Greg Abbott called a special session of the Texas legislature set to begin in a few weeks from now. Among the 19 agenda items is the state's proposed bathroom bill. A group of Texas mothers are now banding together, trying to convince lawmakers not to pass the controversial bill. On Wednesday, several moms of transgender children in North Texas took a stand against the bill at a panel discussion hosted by Equality Texas and the Human Rights Campaign. If passed, the bill would determine which bathrooms transgender Texans can use. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick made it his mission to keep people in the bathrooms of their sex at birth. These moms have different opinions.
Men don't belong in the ladies' room. And boys and girls shouldn't be showering together in the 10th grade, and everyone in Texas knows that.
It really offends me when someone is trying to turn my son into a political pawn. Like, this is, literally no one cares what's in my son's pants except the people in Austin.
It's completely absurd to suggest that my daughter go to the boys' restroom.
Lawmakers return to Austin for the special session beginning July 18th.
Well, Senate Republicans are expected to reveal their health care bill today after weeks of closed-door meetings. Some lawmakers are concerned about how the legislation will handle issues like pre-existing conditions and Medicaid funding. Lawmakers are expected to vote on the bill next week. And, of course, we're going to have more on the story coming up in our next half hour, so tune into that.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are investigating Russia's meddling in the U.S. election. Yesterday, they heard from former President Obama's Homeland Security Secretary, Jeh Johnson.
The Russian government, at the direction of Vladimir Putin himself, orchestrated cyber attacks on our nation. That is a fact, plain and simple.
Johnson says one of the DHS's top priorities is stopping the Russians from getting into election machines.
I was very concerned about what I was seeing, and this was on my front burner all throughout the pre-election period to encourage the states to come in and seek our assistance.
He told senators Russia tried to hack into election systems of nearly 24 states, but there is no evidence showing the votes were changed in the 2016 presidential election.
An elderly Arizona woman now has a working air conditioner unit after living in extreme heat for almost a week. Her AC went out last Wednesday, and she'd been trying to beat the heat with her friend's portable unit, but it only kept the house at 86 degrees. Oh my. Rising temperatures, the last thing she wants to deal with since she's struggling with several health issues. She called her warranty company, but they were backlogged, so she was terrified that she would have to wait it out even longer.
I feel like I'm doing everything I can, but I'm sorry. It just doesn't ever seem to be enough. And I explained to these people this is not just an inconvenience, this is life-threatening.
That makes me sad. I hope someone comes out there. Well, now her warranty company called her back and they apologized after hearing about her situation. Okay, that's some resolution. Yesterday, yep, they fixed her AC unit free of charge. They told her with summer temperatures on the rise, more people are calling in for unit repairs.
Well, we now know why jurors in the Cosby's trial couldn't come to an agreement. Details ahead.
Plus, workers fell through a roof in New York but survived the fall. We're going to tell you how they're doing this midday.